Okay, this video is dedicated to all the people who feel hopeless in this world. So, our world is going through the most rapid change in human history. We've never had this much change in this short amount of time. So, people are starting to think like what is going on. People are addicted to their phones. People are addicted to social media. They're constantly, I mean constantly looking at what other people are doing and what other people are saying. The people are just overwhelmed. Their minds are just overwhelmed. It's not natural. It's not natural to just have be accessible, and this is why I don't like cell phones, because people are accessible and can access other people's lives 24/7. You sit down, you're in your room, there's nobody else around, you just want to be left alone, your phone goes off. Your phone rings. Maybe you're alerted that somebody liked your picture on social media and you get a quick dopamine boost. You can never be by yourself. It is impossible to have peace. It is impossible to have a clear conscience and to form your own view of this world. You're constantly being molded by what other people are doing, what other people are saying. You can't have your own thoughts. So this is why I've just cleansed myself of this social media worshiping culture, this phone addicted to culture. Instagram is highly toxic. It's toxic for your brain. Look at all those IG models on Instagram just constantly taking pictures half naked, giving all the views. They're not getting paid for that. Nobody pays them unless it's some um Dubaian offering them to fly them out. They're not getting paid at all. Nobody there's no advertisements. They just do it for what? For likes. They do it for likes. They do it for follows, and that's their dopamine boost. That is their reward. It is like a drug to them. People are so addicted to their phones, so addicted to technology, that they have lost their concept and their view on reality. Reality is just shattered in front of all these people's faces. The what goes on the computer is more realistic to them than what goes on outside their window. It's terrifying how far we've just gone from nature. If people were just forced to live away from society or in the woods for like a week, they'd probably die. Most people would probably die within a week because they have no idea what to do. They can't survive on their own. They don't even have 30 days worth of food on hand. They're just living paycheck to paycheck. They are constantly at the whim of their boss. That is what we are going through. We are not human. We are transhuman. That cannot exist. We cannot exist without our computer. We cannot exist without our phone. We cannot exist. We cannot function in society without our phone or computer or social media. We can't. So what does that make you? That means you're connected, constantly connected to that device. You cannot exist. You cannot survive. You cannot get paid without having a cell phone number, without having a social media page, without because how are you going to get friends without social media? How are you going to get a job without making a social media profile? They're going to have to vet you somehow. They don't even do in person interviews half the time. They just want a phone interview, and that's how it goes. That's how it goes now. People are just sick and fed up with being They want real life interaction, but it's so hard to make friends now. It's so hard to make new friends, especially if you're outside of college. When you're outside of college and you graduate, it's so hard to keep up with those same friends that you graduated with. It's very hard because you're probably working, trying to fix your situation, trying to get to the next level, and everybody else is trying to do the same thing. It's so hard to make it now. Our ancestors, which means our grandparents, didn't have to work this damn hard. They did not have to put in 80-hour weeks. They did not have to constantly look for like 3 months for a good paying job, and sometimes even more than that. They did. They just graduated high school, worked at a factory, did the same, like the most remedial job you could possibly imagine. Hey, you gotta put this screw on this thing, and you just do that all day, and we'll pay you enough to buy a house, and you could start a family on this, and we'll let you have this job for the rest of your life, and we'll even pay your pension and your retirement. And it's sad. It's sad that people are forced into a way of life that is just a trick. The American dream is just a trick. Oh man, if you work hard, you can make it like I did. And while just Jeff Bezos is in his $1 million yacht, you are working for crumbs. You are working to survive. You are working to pay your next bill. You are working to pay off that medical debt. You are working to pay off student loans, while the older generation didn't have to do any of that. Any of that. Do you know how insane it is to have $100,000 worth of debt for a 4-year degree? Do you think people are gonna? I'm not paying off my debt. No, I'm not. And it's not that I don't want to. I wish I could afford it, but it's just not feasible. I'd have to put in so much money into the debt that I just miss out on. I'd be homeless. I'd be homeless if they brought back that college debt. I would not be able to survive. I would not be able to do anything without this college debt. Okay, I'm not paying it off. I'm not. I'm not. You have $1 trillion for the war in Iraq, but you don't have $1 trillion that could wipe the slate clean for millions of people burdened by debt, lifetime worth of debt. They don't have. Oh, we don't have the money. Oh man. Oh man, we don't have the money. Oh, what am I going to do? I don't have any money. It's such a lie. It's such a lie. They know they don't want to piss off the people because they're in the pockets of the college companies, and really they're companies. They're not really schools. They're just companies. Are in the pockets of the politicians that can make this legislation possible. Now, I think the reason why student loans haven't been forgiven is because it would destroy the fabric of this country. There's so much debt that it has become impossible, literally impossible, for us to pay it off. $1 trillion, and there's like what? I think like 100 so million people. I think it's more than that. I think it's like 50 to 100 million people that have student debt. You do the math on how much money that is. Well, do you think that you can't pay it off? It's the college companies. Hey, the college companies got too greedy. They played their hand. They kept raising tuition every year to astronomical levels. And they kept brainwashing children into going to college, even though most people don't have the money to pay back. Most jobs, you're never going to be able to pay off $100,000 degree. They say, go to the best school, get an education. We'll teach you how to master life. And you're a confused 18-year-old. You don't really know anything about the workplace, so you're like, oh man, guess I'll go to school and learn things. And then the first 2 years of school, it's just nothing. It's just basically a repeat of high school, a summary of high school. Then your next 2 years, they vaguely touch on the subjects of your college. They vaguely touch on it. They don't really teach. They could have just did that from the beginning. So I recommend everybody who's young, 18 to 26 years old, I recommend you go to trade school or just take an online class to learn. You probably learn more in an online class than you would in college. You would. You can probably learn more on a YouTube video than in college, because most of college is just they dust off this old textbook that's like 30 years old, and they just read it. Hey, I'm going to read this textbook, and yeah, that's the class. And then you just have to circle answers on a piece of paper. You don't actually touch on anything. There's very few hands-on things, but whatever, that's a ramble. So yeah, people are just depressed because they know it's not fair. Life is not fair. And it's the most unfair it's ever been in American history. You can have somebody just working at a meat processing plant and make like $30 adjusted for inflation. Buy a house, and people nowadays they gotta work 2, 3 jobs. That's unheard of. People aren't supposed to have 2, 3 jobs. That job is supposed to pay you enough to live. One job is supposed to pay you enough to live. Not two, not three, not four, not five, not three part-time jobs. One job. And we got to start putting our foot down as workers and demanding that we get paid enough. And it does not unions. I'm talking about legislation. We need legislation to increase the minimum wage. It needs to be done now. Now we need everything. Not Ukraine, not the Middle East, not oil, not stupid left-right politics. We need a minimum wage now. It needs to happen now. It needs to be $25 an hour right now. And if you can't afford to pay your workers a livable wage, at least like $20 to $25 an hour, you should not be in business. You should not have a business that exploits people who can't even live within like 200 miles of their workplace. You should not be able to do that. So, yeah, that this all factors into why people are feeling depressed. So I'm just rambling about talking points why people feel depressed. Our cities are literally built for depression. You cannot walk to the store without walking like 2 hours away. There's no public transportation. There's no nothing. Everything looks ugly and bland. You might have a McDonald's on this corner, Burger King on that corner. They all look the same. You'll have a bunch of fast food restaurants, and it is corporate nonsense. No family businesses anymore. And if there are, they're far away from wherever you are. And there's nothing in walkable radius. You can't just go for a walk and to the store and build personal relationships with anybody because everybody's just so addicted to their phones. So addicted. Everybody's just scared. Everybody, have you guys noticed that? Everybody's just scared, anxiety ridden. They just want to get through the day. God, please let this day be over. God, please. And everybody's just so pissed off with the way things are going. Pissed off just in general with the whole economy, with the prices, inflation. People are pissed off, and it's going to boil over at some point. I foresee I'd say a soft collapse, maybe like 3 years, a soft collapse, but yeah, it's over. It's over if we keep putting our heads down and just going along with it all the time. Oh yes, Mr. President, yes, Mr. Biden, yeah, I'll just put up with your lack of doing anything. You want to increase the minimum wage? He won't increase the minimum wage. If I had to choose between student debt being forgiven and increasing the minimum wage, I'd choose increasing the minimum wage because with $25 an hour, you could pay off your debt. You could actually pay it down to a manageable level. But if somebody has like $100,000 worth of student debt and they only get paid $7.25 an hour, that's impossible. That's slavery. That is literally slavery. So, yeah, this is my little rant. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe.